So Triss in this film, we see her where she left off in the other film, which is she just lost both of her parents. She had to shoot one of her best friends. She was in the middle of a genocide, in the middle of a war. And she's very broken. She's struggling with PTSD and fighting her ghosts and her shadows. And through the film, she has an objective, which is to get at Jeanine and to eradicate Jeanine from their society. But in order to do so, she has to gain the support of certain allies in order to play out the mission at hand. And throughout the film, many different people try and influence her in dictating how she should go about performing this act. And ultimately, she ends up listening to herself and honoring her own integrity, and that's what allows her to carry out her mission. It's a very different world than the first film. In general, everything is bigger. There's so much more action. There's the set design is so much richer. The sets are bigger. There's more characters that are introduced, a lot of strength, and also a lot of emotional qualities that the first movie didn't have, simply because it was so busy in exposition describing the world. This movie really had the time to dive deep into the emotionality behind the characters and where they're coming from. There's a lot of really amazing people in this film. It's exciting to have Octavia and Naomi join the cast, but there's also a lot of actors who hadn't necessarily been in anything before who joined as well, and it's always fun to have someone who's hasn't been in many films arrive on a cinema set, because they have this freshness and this exhilaration for and respect for their environment that sometimes, not that seasoned artists don't have that, but they don't bring that lightness and that new energy. And so to have these old pros who have just been doing it for so long and have so much to teach you, and then the new kid on the block who also has so much more to teach you, it always helps you step up your own game. There's a scene where Triss is chasing a burning house with her mother in it, and every single action step that was involved with that was really fun. There was a lot of parkour sequences, a lot of running and jumping. All the simulations will be really enticing in 3D or RealD and whatnot, because there's a lot of shattering of glass. There's a lot of larger-than-life scenarios that aren't necessarily realistic, but because Triss is in a simulation, she's able to perform these particular duties.